welcome to my channel Psycheal, where I usually talk about things related to healing the psyche, healing with psychedelics, but sometimes I post my own personal adventures because it's my channel and I do whatever the fuck I want. In this video, I am doing the W trek in Torres del Paine in beautiful Chile. So join along as I backpack for 5 days in this spectacular mountain range. Also, I want to note that the video might be a little bit long, so I'll timestamp everything. So if you just want to see the camping situation at every Refugio, or you just want to know what are the best vegan backpacking foods to take, I'll timestamp that. And also, as you can tell, a lot of this is filmed on my iPhone because I was trying to conserve my camera battery for photos, so excuse the quality of this. But yeah, hope you enjoy. I made it to Puerto Natales. This is where I'll be spending the night at a hostel before starting the W trek. So I figured it makes sense that I should share what I packed in my backpack before I start making my way through it. So I have a 60-liter backpack, and when I weighed it, it was around 23 pounds. I just have the sleeping pad attached on the outside and these camp sandals, chacos in the side pocket. On the hip pockets, there's like chapstick and a lighter. Otherwise, everything else is tucked in pretty well. So in the front here, I have my toiletries like toothpaste, toilet paper, all of that. This side pocket has all my emergency safety things like hand sanitizer, headlamp. I have band-aids. This is also, I guess, where my water comes out, so it'll be sticking out of there. Pocket on this side is for all the snack stuff. I'll lay everything out in a second so you can see everything I'm working with. So as you can see, everything's pretty compact. I have sunglasses. I have sleeping liner. This huge thing is the sleeping bag. A book because I am going to be solo for 5 days. Gotta stay entertained. Rain jacket. And this dry bag for my camera. Sand cloud towel. Gloves. And clothes in a dry bag. I love this dry bag because obviously it keeps things dry, and it's really rainy here in Patagonia, and it's also really windy, so that's why it's better to have individual things in dry bags than cover your whole pack with a cover because the wind can blow it off. Also, this makes for a pillow at night. And when I close it, I will like sit on it, so it acts as a vacuum seal too. I can pack my clothes very compact. That's everything. And then lastly, my freeze-dried camp foods. The food, I have 4 types of freeze-dried vegan camping food. So if you are also plant-based and want to know which ones I recommend, at the end of the video I'll rank them in order. It's my first time trying all of them. I have a shitload of protein bars, fruit and nut mix, some more dried fruits, some chips I just got on the flight, and chocolate that I bought on my layover in Peru. Some electrolytes, hot sauce because you can never go wrong with some spice, especially you might need some if your camp food happens to be dry, and this utensil. A few things to note. You might be wondering, how can I go 5 days with only 3-liter pouch of water? You might also be wondering, where is my tent? So both of those things are available at the Refugios in Torres del Paine, which is part of the reason I was comfortable with having this be my first solo multi-day backpacking trip. So I'm going to be renting tents that are already set up. people recommended doing that, not only because it helps lighten your load, also because it's so windy there. Sometimes people have broken their own tents trying to set them up, so that helped with both the weight and convenience. And for water, you can fill it up at every refugio. You can also just fill it up at the rivers there, so at no point do I need to worry about running out of water the same way you would camping in the desert or some other national parks in the US. So that might answer questions related to tent and water. Also, I do plan to be buying coffee and beer at the refugios, which is why I did not bring coffee. So morning one is off to a little bit of a hectic start. I realized I did forget to pack one thing, and that is deodorant. So safe to say I will not be making any friends on this trip. Also, I woke up early, or what I thought was early, to get here in time for the shuttle bus, because since it is a one-way trek and I rented a car, I need to leave the car at one side of it and then take a bus to pick it up at the other end. And I wanted to have my car ready there when I finished the hike, because I'll probably be tired then. But I guess I had just missed the shuttle by 5 minutes, so now I am booking it to the other side, and that just means I'm going to have to take the shuttle at the end. But I'm probably going to beat the bus to get to the west side, to be honest. Checked into the ferry with 2 hours to kill, so now I can actually go back and stop by some pretty viewpoints I saw on the drive here. Everything's lining up now. I was a little stressed out this morning, but very excited for the day. And it's so pretty out.
So we are sailing right now on the Gray Lake, all right?
Made it to the first campsite here at Gray. Dropping my backpack off. Glacier trekking was so cool, probably one of the top experiences of my entire life. Now I've set up my sleeping situation and going to try one of the dinners. Dinner number 1, Caribbean curry. I would rate this a solid 7.5 out of 10. I really liked the veggies in it, and it was very filling and wholesome. Wasn't the most flavorful, but I would eat it again. It is day 2. I woke up this morning, and overnight Mother Nature had decided to join me for my trip. I also woke up with my eyes really puffy and they keep watering. It's still an hour later and they still feel kind of swollen. So I don't know what's up with that. But today's trek from Gray to Paine Grande is fairly short, like 10 kilometers, 6-7 miles. Yeah, 6 point whatever. So it'll be a nice, easy day and enjoying this cool weather. So it is only a little bit after noon and I have already made it to Paine Grande. I feel like I keep saying that differently each time. Paine Grande Refugio. So I have a whole lot of time, which is nice. I'm probably going to shower, maybe even buy a lunch, read my book, have a nice mellow rest of the day. You can find a lot of goods inside of the stores at the campgrounds, anything from food items to even buying toiletries, some Wi-Fi. You can get beverages such as beer and coffee. I ended up buying this long sleeve shirt and a sticker. I didn't buy any lunch. There is hot water, so you can heat up your backpacking dried food. I would rate this Chana Masala an 8 out of 10, maybe even 9 after I added in the hot sauce. It definitely was my favorite flavor-wise. It doesn't have as many veggies as the first Caribbean curry, but it has a higher protein content, and again, the flavors hit a little better. So I will definitely be buying this one again. I took a nice warm shower, did a bit of reading while I charged my camera, did some yoga in the tent, and even had an early dinner. And there's still more than 4 hours till sunset, so I figure I don't want to waste the day just chilling at a campsite all day. I have a decent amount of energy in me, so going to take a little bit of a side mission and walk on this trail that goes along Lago Pehoe. Check out this view. I've made a decent dent into this book, and one line that really stood out to me was, "It's terrifying when you consider that every thought we have, every choice we could possibly make, branches into a new world." Which, sure, that might sound really simple, but it is weird to think about that every single thought you have could be affecting your future 10 years from now. Even just as I was reading that book, I was sitting in a loud area and I was like, what if I was in a very social mood right now? Maybe I'd meet people that it would completely change the future course of what I do next. But right now is the present moment. It's the correct moment for this reality. And I'm just not in a super social mood right now, and I think that's completely okay. So all that to say, it's 9 p.m. and I am going to sleep. Day 3. It is fairly windy today. It was windy all last night, and I woke up with the sunrise. I keep thinking that I'll wake up before the sunrise, but my body just must be very tired because I'm sleeping a solid 10 hours. Still windy, It's a few weeks before their official autumn, but you can see the leaves beginning to turn. And I bet this place looks so vibrant in the middle of fall. I made it to Mirador, Francis, and it's 3 more kilometers to Britannico. I'm currently debating if I want to go all the way, and that is about 3 miles away extra. But the views are immaculate. So part of me regrets not going the last few kilometers up to Britannico, but that wind was so absolutely bone chilling that I felt like my fingers were going to freeze and fall off. Not actually, but I didn't want to push it. If anything, it's just a lesson for when I do go up to the towers. I'm going to wear every single layer, including my gloves and beanie. But yeah, just know that if you're going up to the French Valley, it is windy and cold up there, but worth it if you can make it all the way to the Britannico lookout, I'm sure. This is so cool. Oh, that's my camera. Here is an example of the bathroom situation. So you have obviously toilets, sinks, and even free showers, although the hot water is a hit or miss.
We have some museums.
I would rate this Irish Shepherd's pie also a 7 out of 10. If the Caribbean curry was the most fresh, the Chana Masala was the most zesty, this one was the most savory. It was the heartiest of all the meals and the highest in protein also. Day 4, and I'm walking over from Francis to Cuernos. They're only about 3 kilometers apart. There were no chargers for my phone or camera at Francis, so I might get coffee at Cuernos, and hopefully they have chargers there. Otherwise, it's going to be a battle of how much video and photography footage I could get today against my batteries. get to stay in one of these tents again. This mushroom risotto, unfortunately, is my least favorite. I would rate it a 4 out of 10. It was just meh. I am usually a big mushroom fan, but this one didn't have a lot else going for it, and it just was not doing it. It is currently 3 a.m. and you may ask, why are you awake at this strange hour? Well, if I'm going to see any sunrise, I want it to be the last day at the towers. It's supposed to be fairly overcast, but we take what we can get and hope for the best. All right, here we go. There's something quite peaceful about night hiking. I actually like it a lot. Only wish that the stars were a little more clear, but I guess because it's overcast, I cannot see them. But it's quiet and dark and crisp air. This last mile is a lot of rock climbing. Well, not rock climbing, but stepping up rocks. Okay, that's right. So I've made it. It took just a little over 3 hours, including stops, to change layers, go to the bathroom, and I'm a fairly slow walker, so you definitely could do it in under 3 from Central. The 4 hours they estimate is very generous. Now I have an hour to kill, so I guess I will eat a protein bar and contemplate the meaning of life. Making my way back, and now I have light working with me. Everything looks so different. The terrain is not as treacherous as it was on the way up. Maybe I was going off trail without even realizing. I've been super lucky and had great weather most of this trip instead of today, as luck would have it. And this kind of thing would put me in a bad mood a few years ago, but now I kind of just roll with the punches, and you know, this trip has been amazing. I got to see a cloudy Torres, and it has been so beautiful. Goodbye to this beautiful park. You've treated me very well. Torres del Paine is one of my favorite trips I've been on, and I have been to like over 30 countries, close to 30 US national parks, and it really is up there. Just the scenery was so breathtaking. There was just so many cool things I got to do, especially going through the glacier was one of the highlights for me, watching the avalanches. So I definitely think it's worth a trip. Yes, it is far south, and I will say that it is the most expensive airplane ticket that I've ever bought. It was probably, I think it was like $1,200 round trip. Usually I'm pretty good at finding cheap prices for round trip tickets, but since you're going to a pretty small airport, the prices are going to be a lot higher. So that is one of the most expensive plane tickets I've ever got. Don't ask me how much I spent on the trip as a whole. It is hands down the most expensive trip I have ever been on. And again, I've been to many places, including big cities in Europe like Paris. A lot of the times I do cheap stays at hostels and buy really cheap meals, so I find ways to make expensive cities cheap. So maybe my standard of what is an expensive trip is different from other people, but for me, Torres del Paine, Chile was on the more pricey side. So don't ask me to calculate the total cost. I don't personally want to know, but do I think it was worth it? Yes. In hindsight, there's definitely things I could have saved money on. I definitely did not need to rent a car, especially because it was just sitting there for the 5 days I was doing the trek. At the time when I booked the rental car, I wasn't able to book the entire W. A lot of it was sold out. So I booked a rental car with the expectation that I was either going to go to the Argentinian side of Patagonia, go to El Chalten, or maybe go to Tierra del Fuego to see penguins down south. So originally I had the idea that I was going to be doing other things as well, which in that case you do need a car to get around. But if you're only going to do the O or W trek, just book Busser. It'll take you from the airport. You're gonna have to change buses in a few places like Puerto Natales, but it is so much cheaper, so much more convenient. But again, by the time I had found spots, other camping spots to complete the whole W trek, it was so close to the trip that I didn't want to have to deal with like reorganizing all the plans. But yeah, rental car probably caused more hassle than it actually helped. So that's one thing I would have done differently. What I really like about this trail is you can bring as little or as much as you want. There were people who had never even gone camping before who did the whole W trek. They either stayed in the refugios or they rented all the gear, and it was a little bit challenging for those people, it sounds like, but it was doable. And then there's people who brought everything. They brought their tent, they brought their stove. I was able to find a middle ground where I brought as much as I knew I could take. I left my tent behind. I didn't bring any cookware because I wanted to see how much I could feasibly carry, if I was comfortable with that amount, so then in the future I know that I can take more. And by the end of the trip, after I had consumed all my food, drank all my water, my pack was down to 20 pounds. It was really light. So I know for next time that I can pack more stuff comfortably. My shoulders were a little bit sore, but at no point during the trek did I feel like, oh, this is too heavy to carry. So that's a nice thing. If you're relatively new to backpacking, this is a great trail for you to test out your gear and know for other backpacking trails that maybe are not as well serviced, what your limits and capacity are. It is a very popular trail, so you may have moments here and there to yourself, but most of the viewpoints you're going to be with a lot of other people. You're also going to constantly be passing by other people on the trail, so that's nice in terms of safety if you're solo. But if you are someone who prefers something that's a little more secluded, you want to go somewhere isolated when you're going out to nature, you might feel like this is a little touristy of a trail for you. In that case, I heard people say that the Argentina side, if you go towards Fitzroy, that is a little bit less popular with still the same amazing, beautiful views. In addition, another thing that I wish I could have done differently, along with the whole not needing to rent a car thing, if I had the time, which I don't have enough time off from work, so this isn't something I would have been able to do anyways, but if you are able to, I highly recommend doing the O trek over the W, because the backside of the O is a lot less traveled than the W, so you get a lot more of those peaceful moments that might be lacking on the W. Also, because it's longer and most people do end up doing the same route, especially for O, because you have to go in one direction. throughout those 7 to 8 days, you're going to be making friends along the path. Towards the end of my W, I started seeing some faces repeatedly, and I got around to talking to them, and it seemed like all of them had done the O together, and it definitely created a bond between all of them. So it was cool to see from the outside perspective, but being in it, I'm sure would be a lot more fulfilling and exciting. In terms of food, I would say my favorite was the Chana masala. That was so flavorful, so good. And then another one that I would buy again, but I actually didn't particularly like, was the Nomad Nutrition Irish Shepherd's Pie. It's not the kind of meal that I would usually find myself eating, but it had the highest protein. And that's definitely something I tried to go for when buying my food, was what had the highest protein to weight ratio. And so because of that, I also really recommend these Slim Nugo vegan protein bars. But also a special shout out to this vegan protein bar that I found in Chile right before going hiking. Maybe because I'm so used to eating all the different vegan protein bars that are sold here in the US, trying a different one was fun. Overall, I was fairly content with the amount of food I had. There was the one time I bought the empanadas, and that was mostly just to have something to do. But at no point did I feel like I did not have enough food. Again, everyone has different levels of appetite, so you may need more or less. Another suggestion I give is to take your time going on all the trails. I didn't stop that much along the way when I was going from one refugio to the other. So a lot of the times I would start hiking at 8 a.m. or so, and I'd already be at the next refugio either sometime between noon or 2 p.m. And since it doesn't get dark until 8:30, I had a lot of time to kill, so much to the point where at times I kind of didn't know what to do with myself. I finished an entire book, which is great because I have not had the attention span to finish a book in like years. So that felt good. And it did give me a chance to kind of relax and recover. A few times I did walk around on side trails as well, but I definitely feel like I got to the refugios way too early. So don't feel the need to just keep going from point A to point B, stop and snack and do all the things on the way that I probably should have. But Patagonia, 10 out of 10, beautiful trip. I loved every single moment of it, and I missed it already. I'm so happy that I finally was able to go. I hope you get to go too, and that if that is why you're watching this, is maybe to prepare for going there. And if so, I'm excited for you. Okay, bye.